Welcome, everybody. I appreciate you all joining. This is new here, so bear with us. I guess we will start off with attempting the pledge.
Yes, we'll say the pledge.
Welcome, everybody. I appreciate you all joining. This is new here, so bear with us. I guess we will start off with attempting the pledge.
America,
To the Republic,
and for which it stands,
one nation,
Yes, we'll say
under
the
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Welcome, everybody. I appreciate you all joining. Okay, so bear with us. I won't ask everybody. Well, Mr. Taylor had asked everybody here online to sign in, so that's just a reminder. And do we have any revisions?
Yes, I was too afraid to do a revision based on the fact this is a new time. So we had a couple other things come in, but there's nothing that needs to be done tonight. So we'll do those in May. So the agenda will stand as presented.
Okay, well, first on the agenda, we have facilities and we have a construction update with the Area Technology Center.
Well, we've got Jeremy Faulkner with Codell on the meeting with us. So we're glad to have Jeremy tonight. We had a meeting today, a construction meeting, and Peter was present at that construction meeting virtually. So Jeremy, we're going to turn it over to you, man.
All right, thank you, Mr. Saylor. Jeremy, I don't know if you're going to put the pictures up for me to go through, or you want me to present. All right. I don't know if it's there.
Let me pull those up.
I believe we had a. Okay, I feel like we had a great meeting today, Mr. Saylor. You know, previously it's always been a hurdle, but now progress out there. I'm very proud of where we've came these last months and what we've been up against. There's the picture. So with that said, I'll kind of walk you through the site here. Up top, you can see we've started our foundation footers, working on getting an area there at the very top. I'm gonna call it building B is the top and building A is the bottom where the water. So building A is kind of at I wouldn't say standstill, but we've moved our focus to building B up top, and we should be pouring slab and getting our mason started and getting that thing going vertical. Come May 1st, that first week is our go, and the masons will start on May 11th with erecting some walls, and we'll really see progress out there. We've been hard at. We've just been up against some obstacles there with the site, but we've overcame that, and Mr. Sadler's been a big help with everything out there, all the coordination, along with the design team, Peter Fisher. With that said, I'll kind of, take it to Peter if he wants to elaborate on anything I've said or what you're seeing out there.
No, I think we have been very pleased at RTA. Michael was out there this past weekend. I was on site the week before, and you guys have really turned a corner. Things are really coming along really quite nicely on this particular project. So I'm excited to see it come up out of the ground.
Absolutely. He's going through pictures there. I do want on that right there. We're going to start 2 crews starting next week. We're going to drop over the hill there beside the existing high school in that corner. That's where the Pedway Tower is going to be. And we'll have a crew down there starting to get it on grade. That way we can get our foundations poured. I know, with the circumstances we're under the pandemic, it's helped us to move a little faster in that area, but I'd rather have school for you guys going. But we are going to be dropped down there now, and we should still start seeing that come reality very soon too. Now going vertical. Mr. Snell, I'll just turn it over to you as we go through pictures if you want to say anything.
Well, I know that they have really been, there's been several rain days, but there's been probably several days they probably could have counted as rain days, but they've been on site trying to do something because it's pretty much a known fact. I've made it a known fact. We're on a very tight time frame here. Everybody understands that. The contractors do. Ross Tarrant does. Codell Construction, they understand as well. They know that we've got to be in this building August of 2021. And because of them being able to rearrange the schedule and move some things around, we're able to sort of shift our focus from down in the pit more or less to more up on top of the area where the bus garage was at. I think as soon as they can get the pit dry, I mean, they're going to start trying to move forward with it. I think we talked about a possible change order that's coming that's going to allow that area to be drained a little bit quicker. That may help on that particular situation to get the water out of there. But they're working tremendously hard. And I appreciate Jeremy and his focus. He's there every day. Like Peter said, I think he mentioned a minute ago, Michael was here on Saturday, just viewing the site. So it was really a good meeting today. And I know Jeremy just took some drone footage today of the site for you all to look at. We're posting all this stuff as well. But as you can see up there at the top, we made a change up there that we're allowing them to use DGA gravel to sort of get that to grade so that we can pour the floor slabs. And we're close to seeing walls start to go up. And I know that's when everybody will start getting a little bit excited when they can see that. So thanks to everybody. Thanks to our subs and Codell and Ross Tarrant on that. So I think that's pretty much it for the update, Ms. Hardy.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have pay application number 8.
Jeremy, I know that everybody's had a chance, I believe, to look at the pay app. But in this particular case, the pay application is pay application number 8. It is for $380,277.76. And it's my recommendation to the board that we approve the pay app at this time.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I make the motion.
All right, thanks, Sheila. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Rhonda.
Thanks, Brian. Any discussion?
I was just going to ask a real quick question, if it's okay. And it's actually not about the pay application. Mr. Saylor, you were saying there in the corner of our main building right now, that's where the pedway is going to join the school?
Yes, sir. Okay.
And I was just curious and please tell me, Ron, if you want me to back off this and ask it in just a second. You know how we had the band room flood? How is that going to affect that? Do you know?
They're taking care of the drainage in that area. That's one of the things that we told them that we needed to be solved as well. So that area will be fixed to where it drains properly. And the way the building will set in there, water will be diverted around that area. So it should not be a problem. It's the drainage is supposed to be fixed. Jeremy, do you care to address that?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that, I believe, a few weeks ago. And what we're doing in the meantime during the construction, we got sands that are around. They're going to alleviate water from underneath there. I believe y'all had a problem coming in. And then eventually, as we put that on grade, we'll get away from there, and drainage will be an issue going forward.
Cool deal. Sorry, Rhonda. I was trying to ask Mr. Saylor and Jeremy, but I had my stupid mute on, so I was talking to you all and you wasn't even hearing me.
You're fine. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So next on the agenda, we have the virtual tour of the ATC.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited
real
about
quick,
this.
boss.
Yes.
Do you think it would be a good idea, just in case one of the board members accidentally keeps their microphone muted, to have them go into the chat window to do a text eye?
Probably not a bad idea if everybody would go ahead and just record their last vote under the chat window. If you'll just put ATC Pay App, yes or no, and it was all yeses. So if you all would do that, then we'll have a record just in case it does come up. And while everybody's doing that, I'll go ahead and introduce the virtual tour. We just, everybody's still sitting there anxious, hey, this building, what are we getting here? What do we have? And I'd seen, at KSBA at the winter conference that Ross Tarrant does a lot of work like this in terms of virtual tours. So I asked them the other day, I said, can you all take, now that we did the color selections, and for the building, can you do a virtual tour for us? What is it going to look like for somebody walking into the building? And I'm pretty excited about this. I think you all will be too. And I think the public will love this. And once you all see it and get to watch it, it'll go live in the morning. So Jeremy, if you're ready to share that, I think everybody will be excited about this. And we've got Brian with us and Peter both. And Brian, do you have a comment before Jeremy actually starts?
No, just to, I guess, update a little bit. The first image you'll see here is the rendering that we released, prior to construction documents going out for bid for approval. We use the same building information BIM model that we used to create the drawings to actually create this. And we can also see this in like a VR as well, if you ever wanted to put on the goggles as well.
This, of course, here is the health lab, and you'll get to sort of go into it. Here's the classroom space. And Brian, if you want to, you can sort of lead us through that instead of me doing it.
Sure, that's fine. So all the classrooms have flexible furnishings, both the tables and chairs. In the health lab here, you'll see they also have additional flexible kind of small group chairs, as well as the exam beds, curtains, and all the extra storage. Kind of walking past through here, you'll see the entrance to the IT classroom, the infotech classroom. We've got the main restrooms down for the first floor, and we've got areas for signage, photos, and things that can be changed out during the semester or during each semester. Going up the main stairs to the second floor, we have a small administrative area off to the right, but now you're kind of looking at the advanced manufacturing classroom. The lab is just behind that. We're going to walk by that here in just a second. and passing the restroom on the second floor. Again, we've got these ATC spotlight areas where they can add images, student work, things like that. So there's a high level of presentation for the students to be able to showcase some of their work and photos and things like that throughout the building, which I think is great. Some areas where they can do some study outside in the corridors as well. We're going to go right down to the diesel tech classroom. Again, flexible furnishings in this space. Each classroom has a large TV monitor, whiteboards, bulletin boards. Looking into the main diesel tech lab. We'll walk in here in just a minute. This is going to show primarily all the work tables. We have the auto vehicular lifts. These are all mobile lifts that can be moved around depending on the axle depth of the vehicle being worked on. So we wanted to pick a couple of the locations to walk through just to give an idea about the size of the labs between the health lab and then something like the diesel tech lab. Walking back down the upper level corridor, we're going to make a right-hand turn up here and we'll go down the pedway, and that will end the virtual tour of the building. So that way we were able to kind of show that there is that connection to the high school. You kind of see it off there in the distance, but being able to walk through that space that's going to lead you back to the main pedway tower.
And Donna, notice there's your engineers.
Excellent.
I really think that will be a great tool for us because that right there, those are the color selections. It's pretty much what you're going to see when you look in there. I know Brian and them, we called Randy, and Randy took over for Ron once he retired at Christmas this year. And Randy and Brian and Peter and I met, and we worked on this or talked about this last week, and they were able to put this together for us and wanted you all to see it first. There's just a couple other things that they're going to clean up tonight. And once it's ready, they'll be sending us a link. It's on YouTube. We can post that link up on the website. And anybody that wants to take that virtual tour is going to be able to see what the building looks like. So I was pretty excited about it. I think they've done a good job.
Looks great.
Yes, it does.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the bus garage and an update.
And I guess this is goes to Peter. And Peter, Jeremy has some pictures as well as the site out there today with the drone.
That's great. That's great news. I was going to follow up without pictures after the ATC. I was going to have to step up my presentation next month. Wasn't sure that we would be here, but the bus garage there's been some significant progress on that. I know this time last month we were very concerned about progress on the bus garage, but they have done a great deal of work with, in particular, with mass grading. And the really good news is that the building pad has been reconstructed, which was quite a feat for that particular building because the undercut was about 10 feet deep. But it's been reconstructed and it is compacted, which means we should see foundations starting very soon on this building. And hopefully it will be coming out of the ground here shortly as well. They have a lot of ground to catch up. They got a slow start out of the gate, but they really have done a lot of work this month. I'd be happy to answer questions.
And my understanding is, Peter, that that is the road currently configured. It's been compacted and they're ready to accept materials on the site. And
Yes.
Building pad itself is also compacted and ready to go.
Yes, that is exactly right.
Does anybody have any questions about the site with Peter?
Actually, I did, Peter, if you don't mind. So this little area that Jeremy's moving up towards there. So this little area on the left, that doesn't have like this dense grade on it? What is exactly that going to be? I know it's all kind of been cleared, so I was just out of curiosity.
Yeah. So in this particular project, there is going to be a passenger vehicle parking lot in front of the building, and then behind the building, there's going to be the bus parking lot. So we're looking at the parking lot for the vehicular parking lot, and then where you see the dense grade, that's the building, that's the building pad, and then behind it is where the bus parking lot is. They have been borrowing some fill material from this site, which is what you see in the very back, and that will all be obviously put back and regraded as the project concludes.
Cool deal. Looks ready to be built on, doesn't it?
It's a lot. It is. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised at this point with where we were a month ago, and pleased, pleasantly surprised. Nice.
And I actually went up the other day and I caught John up there and we talked for a while. And, you know, I know they had some issues with water early on and got off to a really slow start, but I know that they're wanting to do a good job for us. And he told me that personally, that apologize for the slow start and that they're wanting to do a good job. And I think at this rate, with this type of progress, they're going to be back on track pretty quick, I believe. Don't you, Peter?
I do. Yes, I do. It's a lot to get done for the school year, but I think you know, it's a manageable project. This isn't a building like the ATC.
No.
Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Rhonda, I think we're ready to move on.
Next, we have a pay application number 3.
And you all have had the opportunity to look at that pay app, and the total for that pay app is $90,522.56. It's been reviewed by Ross Tarrant. Peter's reviewed that and has approved that for payment. And any other comments, Peter, concerning that?
No. No. Most of the material that you all are paying for is being stored off-site right now at Standard for Builders, but it'll be making its way to the job site as they're ready for it.
My recommendation to the board would be to pay app number 3 and the associated DPOs for the bus garage.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
And if you don't care, just log on to the chat again and just say bus yes, and that way we've got it.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have a school and district staffing, and first is the high school site base request.
And let me go ahead and say this. I know that Peter and Brian and Jeremy, we appreciate you guys. You don't have to continue with us unless you've got anything else, nothing better to do this evening. You can stay with us, but if you choose to log off at this time, thank you guys for joining us.
Mr. Saylor, hold on just a second. I believe we lost.
Thank you, Mr. Saylor. You'll have a good evening.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, I appreciate being able to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Same here. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, we ready to move on, Jeremy?
No, I was hoping she was going to jump back on, but I'm not seeing her yet.
Who have we
I'm going to
lost?
give her a phone call. Donna Isrick.
Okay.
While we're waiting on Donna there, Mr. Saylor, and it may be, maybe I'm simple, but I just think it's awesome that they're able to get those aerial views with that little device, that little what do you call it? I'll say
Drone.
something like William Hardy would say, a hover round or something like that. But yeah, that little drone. But I mean, I just think that's so neat because we're looking up into that holler, and that's what I'll call it, a holler. That's what we call it in Urban. I'm sure that's what they call it in Bell County. So
That's right.
But you're looking from the road, and you've got no idea what all's going on up there, and that's a very good indication that things are moving in the right way, I think.
Yeah. I was really tickled. Jeremy went out there really and did that on his own today to go out there and capture the drone. And of course, we've got the multi-vista pictures, but it's a little bit slow on those because they're taking still shots at varying points. When we get to the end, the multi-vista pictures are going to be fantastic. That you're going to be able to see the whole progression of that. But right now, early on, we're having a little bit of difficulty with that. So I like the drone too. And I think the more that we can do things like this with the drone shots, the virtual walkthrough, the multi-vista pictures, it's a different level of transparency that we've never done before. And I think the public will be very appreciative of that in the end, that they feel like it makes you almost feel like that you're up there swinging a Matic, or pushing the bulldozer, you're a part of it. You can be a part of it if you want to be. So
Right.
We've got Donna back and any other comments before we move on? Okay, Rhonda.
All right. Next, we have our high school site-based request for school and district staffing.
And we'll take each one of these at a time, but I'll go ahead and explain them, both of them, to you right now. And this is the same thing we've had the last a couple years. You guys saw the same thing last year. When you get to dealing with elementary schools, and a lot of times, with the site-based allocations, with Title I, you pretty much are able to staff a building without board add-ons. But if you're going to offer a program at the middle school and you're going to offer vocational programs at the high school and those things, then the board has to make concessions by which they give additional positions. So the first one tonight is the high school staff, and I believe the high school is requesting 2.5 teachers. This is the same number of teachers that they requested last year. So there is not an increase in the number of staff members at the high school, but they're asking for 1 English position, 1 science position, and half of a music position. What that will allow them to do is to have a schedule by which they can make sure that all of our students are able to access programs that they desire to do so. So my recommendation to the board is that we approve their SBDM request.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I make the motion.
Thank you, Sheila. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Rhonda.
Thanks, Brian. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
And I think if you just put HS yes on this one, it'll be good. While you are doing that, I know Jeremy will probably pull up the middle school document as well here.
Okay.
The middle school is also making a request for additional staff. And this is the same request that they have made last year It's not a difference in terms of the number of teachers they're asking for. And make sure so I can look at it and tell y'all exactly. It is 1.5 positions. They're asking for a half a position in music and a social studies position. This keeps them at the exact same number of teachers that they had last year. And so their schedule will not change in terms of their base schedule. So my recommendation is to approve that request.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Brian. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Thanks, Sheila. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes.
While you are recording that vote, let me go on to tell you all that what I have tried to look at, and I think what we have to realize as a board, that decisions we make have to be what's best for kids. And when we get to looking at what's going on right here with the COVID-19 suspension of in-person classes, then I believe no matter how much NTI work we've done, and I know our teachers and our staff has worked hard to try to come up with lessons that are important for our students. And I know our students are working hard. We're having great success in terms of the number of students that are returning their materials. We're letting students know how important it is for them to do that. I hope you all have got to look at the PSAs. It's been posted to the website that our students have been doing in response to COVID-19 and completing their work and some of those things. What I have tried to do with staffing, and guys, I'm going to tell you, you know, they've made some I guess concessions when it comes to the budget and how the budget has been created. And as you know, we've got a 1-year budget that's been approved, but ultimately we're going to see a decrease in the amount of revenue that we have coming into the district. Now, based on the Federal CARES Act that we'll talk about in a minute, we are expecting some stimulus money. So with that in mind, I have held staff where it's at. We did not make any cuts because we always talk about the summer slide, that when students go home and they're not in school in June and July, that ultimately there's going to be that slide there in terms of their performance levels. Even though we're doing NTI right now, we're looking at March, April, and May, which are prime school months that now make the summer slide become the spring and summer slide. So we're going to need all the staff that we have in order to be able to try to address that. And our principals and their leadership teams are working hard in order to do that, to make sure that once we get back into school this fall, that we'll be able to try to meet the needs of our kids and move forward, because we don't want any kid to suffer because of this situation. So I just want you to know that's been my philosophy in terms of trying to staff our schools, that we're making no cuts in terms of the number of positions. Now we're going to have some positions that are going to change. We're going to have some people that's not going to be back. We're going to have some new people. But in terms of the number of personnel, they're not going to change. And Rhonda, I guess real quick on C, I'll just real quick tell you all that I will have the district staffing update at the May board meeting, just making some changes there. And in terms of trying to make sure we are losing a couple of district positions that we're not filling. I told you guys if we were going to make any type of reductions, we would make them at the district level, and that's what we've been doing. And there's not a bunch of them because we're still going to have to be able to supply support to our schools but we feel like that the ones that we are making are very much positions that we can live without for a while in order to get through this coming budget year. So I will have that for you all at the May meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have COVID-19 measures, and first is the Senate Bill 177.
Jeremy, I saw a minute ago, put that Senate bill up, and there was several different parts of that Senate bill. And what I did, I went through the Senate bill here to explain to you all what the General Assembly did in order to try to help us in terms of completing this school year. To begin with, as you know, they allowed all school districts, which is item 1, to go with a NTI program. These are called emergency COVID-19 NTI days. Right now, as of May 1st, we will complete 35 NTI days. That gets us to within 7 days of being through with the school year. There is actually a task force that is meeting right now to determine what those final days are going to look like, because almost all school districts are going to be short of the number of days that they're going to need come May 1st. It could very well be that it's going to be NTI days. I do think there's a possibility that if we're within a certain number of days, the school year could end. There's a very slim possibility that we could return to school, but I think that possibility is slim and none, to be honest. We are having a conference call with the governor on Monday at 2 p.m. So my opinion is the governor is going to speak with all the superintendents on Monday, trying to make a decision about the remainder of the school year. And so that's item number 1. Item number 2 does allow for emergency leave, but the more I learn about the emergency leave, that emergency leave is to be granted whenever an employee has exhausted their sick leave and it's due to COVID-19 reasons. And what a lot of school districts are doing is that they are giving the superintendent the authority to grant emergency leave days for employees that might fall under that category. So what I was going to do is I was going to ask you all tonight on item number 2 is that it is an action item that the motion would be that you would give the superintendent the authority to grant emergency leave days for any employee that's impacted by COVID-19 based upon a set of criteria that determines that they would need that leave. And what we're getting into here is the main people that I believe this impact is our full-time 261-day employees, because we're giving every other employee in the school district an opportunity to make up their time. Everybody is receiving their paycheck for their regular work schedule. And if somebody is not able to work, we're allowing them to work and make up their time at some point in time in the future. And technically you go out here, you sort of got that June 30th deadline. I've pretty much said, I'm not worried about the June 30th deadline. If somebody still needs 3 days and they don't get them made up until September, who cares? They're making the effort. They're not trying to beat us out of time. They're trying to do the best they can. And our employees have been fantastic during this. We've got food service and transportation personnel out there delivering meals every day. We got maintenance and custodial people working in our buildings. Our teachers are working, trying to not only deal with NTI days, but they're also working on curriculum for the coming school year. So when kids get back in August, we will have curriculum ready to go. So I don't anticipate that we would have over 1 or 2 people that would need emergency leave. But Rhonda, my motion would be, or my recommended motion would be, that you all would give me the authority to grant emergency leave if we get an employee in a situation where we absolutely need to do that, because we want to be good to our employees and take care of them. And Lord forbid that any of them would end up with COVID-19, or someone in their family would end up with COVID-19 and have to go through that with them, especially if they're one of the 20% that has real severe consequences from contracting this disease. So that would be my recommended motion.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I make the motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I make a second.
Thanks. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
If y'all want to, just put EL yes, be fine. Emergency leave, EL yes. We can move on to item number 3, and that was the food service. The food service is just an update for you all. What we've tried to do is we've done a couple different things, but now we have settled on the schedule that was part of your packet. And that schedule is, in order to deal with any of the I guess we just don't want to put our employees in a compromising position. So in order to deal with that, we have come up with our final food service plan. And that basically it says that we're not going to be delivering door to door on a daily basis like we were. We're no longer having 2 separate pickup times. They can begin picking up lunch and breakfast at 10:30, and it goes all the way through 1 o'clock. And we're now only working on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So on Monday, they can pick up 2 breakfasts and 2 lunch for Monday and Tuesday, and do the same on Wednesday. And what this has allowed us to do, quite honestly, is they're picking up 2 meals on Friday as well. So they've got breakfast and lunch for Saturday as well. And instead of our employees going out and doing it, we do have our 2 school locations. We have 6 satellite locations. But we also have a group of community volunteers, and thank God for the community we live in. We have a great community, and we have a lot of people that want to volunteer and help us. They have volunteered to take meals to our students that they don't have transportation, or there's something going on there. And I felt like it was better for us to have volunteers that were going to do that instead of us asking our employees to do that. Because we could tell our employees, you're going to volunteer, but they're going to feel obligated if you do that. And we just felt like that there was enough people that were wanting to volunteer and help us. Then we have volunteers that are taking meals door to door for different families. And if there is a family out there that has a need, they need to contact Teresa Dawes here at the central office. If they will contact her, they can send her an email. She will arrange for them to be able to receive meals if they have an emergency. Now, we're talking about people that don't have transportation, or they're not able to. You know, early on I think we got to the point we had so many people going out. We had people that we were delivering meals to, and there was 4 cars sitting in the driveway. You know, we want to help, but we also have to have everybody helping us, if you understand what I'm saying. So we want to make sure that we are helping those that's in the most need. And I think this is going to allow us to be able to protect our employees while meeting the needs of our kids. We're up to over 1,600 meals a day. So if you think about that, we're serving almost 8,000 meals a week. that is pretty doggone good, guys. I really appreciate our transportation and food service staff. Listen, our Frisky people, it's been a joint effort. We've had everybody working with that.
Mr. Saylor,
Yes, ma'am.
what about our backpack program?
The backpack program is still going on. They delivered the first round of backpacks, and I think they delivered food for 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, Sheila. There should be another round of backpacks coming up. Now, that will be a time where our people will be delivering those backpacks to homes if they don't have a way to come pick them up. We've had a hard time getting up with some of our families, and those are the only exception I've made to the delivery rule, that we would deliver those backpacks or the weekend food to those families that are in need, those kids that are in need. And at that point in time, if we've got a family resource center person that's still going out, then we would let them take breakfast and lunch also at that time.
Okay.
But we tried to be really cautious about sending our employees door to door.
Yes. Thank you.
And the last one, guys, is the board information just on being able to have non-renewals, reduction of pay, placement letters, and contracts. Senate Bill 177 did allow for those items to be delivered by regular mail. Used to, you had to deliver them in person, get signatures. And I may have skipped one. I did. I'll go back to item 4. Jeremy, just hold that up there and I'll go back to that. I skipped down to number 5. But we are sending non-renewal letters. Now, how we've handled that is that our principals have talked to all those individuals. Nobody's getting an email that they didn't know about. Placements are a little bit different. Placements are not always done. They're not always notified beforehand. We try not to move a lot of people around, but sometimes it becomes necessary. So those emails for non-renewals and placements and reduction of pay has went out. Letters are going out in the morning. Some of them went out today. So I just wanted you all to be aware that that had happened. Contracts will be something else. And by the June board meeting, we have to notify everybody and say, this is what you should expect as your salary. So we'll take care of the salary schedule at the May meeting and the district staffing policy and all that. And that will let Felicia be able to meet that deadline. Let's jump back to 4 real quick. And Jeremy had it up there. And that was the certified evaluation plan. Ms. Isaacs has worked with the principals, and they have looked at several different items that they wanted to make sure that were addressed within that certified evaluation plan. Again, these changes were allowed to be made because of Senate Bill 177, and it's got to do with some whether or not you're doing the face-to-face evaluations and those types of things. And they've worked hard on this, the principals and Ms. Isaacs have, and this is what they've agreed to. And you all have to approve this change to the certified evaluation plan. Rhonda and I will sign it and we'll send it into the state. But I am asking for a motion on the amended CEP for the FY20 school year.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I guess if y'all want to, CEP, yes, will be fine, and we've got a recorded vote too. Thank you all for part A.
Okay. So next on the agenda, we have the CARES Act.
Just a real quick update on the CARES Act, and I'm telling you, this is a huge piece of legislation. As you all know, it's also a $2.2 trillion piece of federal legislation. So there's a lot of different pieces of this legislation, but it's a good thing we got people like KSA and KSBA and them looking out for us. But the two main things you all needed to know tonight is there is emergency leave that is inside that piece of legislation as well. It allows up to 80 hours, which means basically 10 days, 2 weeks of emergency leave for someone, again, that either has contracted COVID-19 or somebody in their family has contracted COVID-19 and they have to stay home in order to self-quarantine and take care of that individual. So again, that's pretty much dictated by federal law, just like family and medical leave was. So it really doesn't take an action on your all's part. Again, the employees that I worry about in that particular situation are those employees that are 261-day full-time employees that do not have any days whatsoever in terms to make up. It's hard for them to make up time. So I will, of course, Felicia and I will look at that and make sure that we administer that as the law allows us to. Also, we don't have a final number yet, but I want to let you all know that we will be receiving some stimulus money. Right now, they're projecting that will be somewhere around 83% of our Title I allocation. If that is the case, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000 in stimulus money. And I know that sounds like, man, that's a lot of money. But things that we've got to consider, we're going to keep staffing where it's at. So that position, that's going to cost a little bit of money in order for us to do that. We're also going to have to look at the fact that one of the things that I think we really need to think of hard, and now that we have this money and may have the ability to do it, is that we can possibly supply Chromebooks to all of our middle school students, including sixth graders. We were already on track to have seventh and eighth graders, but with NTI days and the possibility of the use of NTI days next year, we really believe we need to go ahead and purchase Chromebooks for our sixth graders. We'll be able to do that with this money. And hopefully we've applied for the Estill Reese grant again this year, and that last year paid for over 120 Chromebooks. So we've reapplied for that amount of money as well. So I believe that would be a good expenditure for this money. And the big thing we have to remember, I have no idea, guys, what this crisis is going to do to our property tax collections. So we've got a lot of employers that are trying to pay their employees, but we have a lot of people right now that are laid off, may or may not have been able to get signed up for unemployment yet. They have bills to pay, mortgages to pay. And quite honestly, when it comes November and it comes time to start paying taxes, some of them may not have the money to pay their taxes. And that is a big chunk of our local effort. So that stimulus money could come in very handy in the fall as we see how tax collections. Hopefully, here sometime in May, early June, restrictions can start to be eased a little bit. People can start getting back to work. And hopefully, we won't see that. But there's no way to know right now at this point. So I do think that's good news that there is stimulus money within that. So that's really an update on the CARES Act, Rhonda.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the waive the board policy 08.113, which is the graduation requirements.
Our board policy requires 26 credits for graduation. And actually, when I got to looking at our new KSBA policy from this past year, actually somehow in the update in July, they had removed that requirement, and our board policy currently only requires 22 credits. Now, I've had a conversation with them. It brought to light something that I probably should have thought a little bit more about. But one thing you've got to be careful with on KSBA, when they do blanket policy revisions in the summer, they basically, if you've got some kind of specialized policy like us, we had 26 credits for graduation, man, it went out the door. And quite honestly, I didn't catch it. I'll not make that mistake again. We'll go through them with a fine tooth comb this summer, but we already have a policy in line that only requires 22 credits for graduation. I think all of our seniors have the ability to make that number. We were going to have some seniors that could not have made 26 because of the time that they've been out, but everybody has the ability to make 22. So really and truthfully, we don't need a motion there, guys, because our policy already states 22 credits. And we are in contact with our seniors. Every senior has been spoken to, and they know that that's the number that they've got to meet. And we're not sitting here driving the hammer home and, you know, that thing, but, you know, we're telling them, in order for you to pass that class, you have to do the work. You have to turn it in. You're not going to receive a passing grade in a class if you fail to do your 35 days of NTI work. So they know that. We're in conversations with them, and we're trying to make sure that they understand that. Now, in terms of our other students, we'll have opportunities in the fall. If a junior hasn't completed a class, we'll be able to possibly give that student a chance to complete that class in the fall and be able to get credit. But seniors don't get a second chance. This is it. They've got to turn in their work now in order to be able to receive a diploma this spring. So we've made that very clear. So that's really the update on that. And I'll do a better job of making sure that we look at those updated policies every summer to make sure it doesn't happen on something else.
Okay, next on the agenda, we're to set a tentative graduation date.
And this is more or less put on there for a discussion among the board members. There's all kinds of rumors out there in terms of what we're going to do for graduation. And I can say so right here tonight. There's been no decision made on graduation. There's been no decision on a date on graduation or anything along that line. I do think that the board members, and I know you all may want to comment, I believe that every board member sitting here tonight, it is our desire that there be some type of graduation ceremony at some point. But that's going to depend entirely upon what kind of restriction that we see being lifted into the future. I don't know that we can have a May graduation. I don't know if we can have a June graduation. I don't know that it could be in July. But I think the board, or I think, let me speak for me. I believe that if it's at all possible, sometime between now and the start of next school year, we need to try to have some type of graduation. Now, what that looks like, I don't know. I would hope that we can have a graduation out on the football field or in the gymnasium and invite everybody. I just don't know what that's going to look like. I know that Donna's sitting here, even working in healthcare. I'm sure she doesn't know right now or would be able to tell us anything in terms of what we might see in the future. But I do want our seniors to know something. We do care. And I'm telling you, we hurt in our heart because you guys, and we've got Summer on here tonight, and I know what it's like. And Summer's a junior, and I'm sure a lot of her friends understand, or she's heard from her friends that are seniors. Can you imagine no spring sports, no spring activities, no prom, possibility of no graduation, being torn away from your friends and what you've known for 13 years in a school system, and now all of a sudden to the point that you feel isolated? I can't even begin to explain or even think about how you feel, because I've never had to do that. I can talk to you about where I'm at and how I feel about all this, but I know that you have to feel devastated as a senior. So I don't know how the board wants to tackle this. I've talked to Mr. Yost over time. We have talked about if you all think it would be appropriate that we would put some type of survey out to our seniors and let our seniors sort of chime in. You know, you've got the possibility that we may be able to have a full-blown graduation, just like always. I think it will be late summer if we're able to do that, but I think that that's a possibility. We could have a graduation ceremony where the number of people would be limited. It could be that every graduate could invite 2 people to the graduation, and then we would stream it live for everybody else. There are such things as virtual graduations. There's companies that want to do some virtual graduations. That's possible. There's been some ideas floated about a drive-by graduation where everybody can drive by, pick up their diploma. I think we have to do something.
Yes.
So I don't know if you all feel like that maybe surveying our seniors, I want them to have some say in what we do. And then as a board, we're moving forward. We've ordered diplomas. We've ordered diploma covers. We've started working on a professional program to be printed for a keepsake for our kids. I thought if you guys wanted to look at, if we wanted to set some dates out there, I've even looked at the last Saturday in each month, the last Saturday of May, the last Saturday of June, and the last Saturday of July to say, these are the 3 dates that we've selected. And if we can make the May date, we will. If we can't, we're going to go to June, then we're going to go to July. So I'll just open it up to you all, exactly what you want to do here. I do think that if we decide that if something happens, restrictions, and we want to do something May 29th, or I'm sorry, it's May 30th, I think we sort of have to let everybody know. But I really believe that a May 30th graduation is going to come with a lot of restrictions. It's not going to be a full-blown graduation. And my last comment would be, I think if we get into next school year, we're going to have a difficult time having some type of ceremony for these students. And I don't think it's quite fair. I heard somebody, I had one parent say, well, maybe they could graduate next year with the other seniors. Well, then you just end up, you make this year's seniors don't want to do that. Next year's seniors probably don't want to have that happen. And I just don't know. I don't know what the options are. I think our seniors would choose to do something during the summer and not have to worry about it once the school year starts or work starts and they've moved on. So any comments from you guys on this?
I think they should have a say in it, and we do a survey on what their options, what they think we should use as options.
I would agree, Jeff. I think it's definitely about the students and want to have their opinion. And if we want to set some tentative dates, like you mentioned, I mean, I think that's fine, but I know our hands are kind of tied until we do know what the restrictions are going to look like. But I think we want to make sure that, you know, the seniors know we are planning to have a graduation if at all possible, because there are a lot of rumors out there.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
I was going
I don't hear me, but coming from my perspective, I guess, as a student, I can't even feel for the seniors where I'm not in their shoes, and I don't guess any of us really can. But I do know that when students have some sort of say, it means something to them, and of course, you're going to have a lot of controversy. You know, nobody's going to pick the same thing. Some people may say, yeah, I'd rather have a drive-by graduation. That's better than nothing. And then you have the people who are sort of optimistic and may shoot for that July date. Maybe they kind of have a vision that they want to have the traditional style of graduation. But I think it would be awesome to see kind of people's input. And if anything, if you can say that you had it, you know, if it ends up being in the situation where maybe your options that you had set for the students to choose don't end up working out, at least they had a say in it. And I think it's a great idea to do it that way personally, but
I agree.
Thanks.
I would agree with Summer, Mr. Saylor. And Donna can attest more than anybody, being out on the front lines, dealing with, the things she's dealing with in healthcare and the things we really aren't dealing with in our county, or so-called so far. We continue to be one of the lone surviving counties so far that hasn't seen any kind of, testament of what this virus does or affects. But I always feel like that we should definitely reach out. And I feel like we've got a great group of our board, and Summer and all the teachers and principals, all of us giving our 2 cents worth. But I definitely think that it would come down to what they would like to see done. And I'm like you. I mean, we're in uncharted territories. You're a leader, you're a superintendent, and you don't even know, what lies ahead. So, I mean, it's just difficult circumstances for everybody, and we don't want to put anybody in harm's way or cost any difficulty for anybody as far as costing their health in any way. But we've got to do something and to do right by these kids. And I think about my kids, and we can all talk about a lot of things, but till it hits home and affects you and yours, you don't always see it clearly. And I just can't imagine my child working 13 years and working their tail off to get to where they are, and then that one time comes that we really honor them and you can't do it. It's just sad. It's really sad. And I think that hopefully, fingers crossed, they say hope didn't clock in this morning, but hopefully something will work out and we can do something. But I think it's definitely going to be later than sooner. And I'd say you all would probably agree with that. But I was already thinking about even clearing May off, thinking it's probably not even possible. But like you said, I think we should definitely reach out to those who it involves and affects more and see what they think.
Okay.
If you all
Donna,
can
you or
think of
Jenny,
any way
Joe,
that
have any comments?
Well, I definitely agree. I think it's our responsibility. I feel like that we all have talked about it at different times amongst ourselves, and we want to honor these kids. It's their time to shine. And I think picking those 3 dates that you mentioned, Mr. Saylor, is at least a goal to shoot for. I think a survey to find out what the seniors would like to see happen is a good place to start. And as Rhonda said earlier, there's all kinds of rumors, all kinds of talk out there. I mean, all of us on the board have children, and it is our number one goal to make sure that these kids are taken care of and that they're honored. And at no one point in time have any of us ever said that we weren't going to have some type of graduation, some type of services to honor them. And we will stand by that commitment as soon as the governor and the government and people give us the okay that, it's safe to do that. And so I'm all in 100%. So whatever we need to do to try to make that happen in a safe manner, I'm all for it.
I agree also. I like the idea of polling the seniors. If you see on social media right now, these kids are creative. They came up with all kinds of ways to continue on with their senior year with showing off their prom dresses and virtual proms and all kinds of fun stuff. So I'd like to see what they come up with.
Well, if it pleases the board, then I think this is what I think to sort of start out with. I'm sort of like Brian. I think May is probably wishful thinking. If we were going to do something in May, it's probably going to be more of a virtual type thing, which I would personally, again, we may talk to seniors, they may feel different. I think that they probably would feel that that would be not their number one choice by any means. I know as a board, as we've talked about this, I think we've all agreed that we wanted to see a return to something that was dignified, something that was respectful, a ceremony that was respectful. I believe you should consider the graduation should be on the same line as your wedding. It should be on the same line as your baptism. It should be that type of ceremony where we take it serious. It's a serious matter. We're honoring everybody for years of hard work. So I will work, if it's your all's wish tonight, that I would work with Josh and we would look at some options in terms of we can do a virtual graduation regardless with everything that's went on. Even if we're able to have an in-person ceremony, what would be wrong of having a virtual graduation if it's something we can put together and all the kids can have? So that should be something we should strive for no matter what. That we could do something virtually. We could have kids maybe submit a picture, submit some accomplishments, and we're able to put that down as some type of virtual walkthrough, sort of like the virtual walkthrough with the ATC. We could have a virtual walkthrough of our senior class. So there's several things that we're trying to do. I want you all to know, and I don't think this is a secret, but our high school has got a big plan for our seniors here, and they'll be making presentations to every senior in the senior class. I won't spill the beans on that. Just expect something. If you're a senior, they're going to be doing something for all of y'all here in the next few days. And I'll leave it at that before I open my big mouth and let the cat out of the bag if they've not already told you. So we're trying to do a bunch of things to try to make up for it. We'll never be able to make up for it. The only thing we can tell you is that we love and respect each and every one of you all. And from the bottom of our heart, we are sincerely sorry. If any of us could change this, we would, not only for this reason, but all the other reasons, if not for 120 Kentuckians that have already lost their life due to COVID-19. We would all change the circumstances if we could, but we can't. If the board feels all right, I mean, you don't really have to set these dates, but in our survey, we may shoot these dates out there. If you all are okay with May 30th and June 27th and July the 25th, we'll sort of shoot those days out there. These are the dates that right now we're going to say we're going to try to do something on one of these 3 dates. And then if we get later on in the year and it just appears that nothing's going to happen, then we'll have to try to decide by that July date what exactly it is that we can do. But we're going to try to do something. And I don't know, guys, you all tell me if it took us all the way to Christmas break where kids are back home from college. Is it out of our minds if we can't do something in July? Are we just putting hope out there to say we could do something Christmas break on a Saturday or something to have a graduation ceremony? Is that just absolutely crazy talk? Or is that something you all would consider doing if we don't have restrictions lifted by July? Is that something you want me to put out there to seniors and ask them?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shayla.
I think nothing's crazy at this point, Mr. Saylor.
Okay. Well, we'll put that option out there as well. We can pick a date in December. And most kids, if they're gone to college, they're going to be home. Lord forbid, we may have some families that's moved away or something, but maybe they can get back for a Saturday afternoon or something to have a graduation ceremony, and we can do something during Christmas. So we'll put that option out there as a last resort. If we can't do anything and you want a full-blown graduation, we could do one in December. It's just going to be 6 months late. So we'll put it out there. Again, everybody's heard the board speak tonight. Our goal is to do something for our seniors. We do not want their hard work, 13 years, to just pass away in the night without something being said or something being done. Okay, so we'll do that. Any other comments for, I guess we move on? Okay.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have our consent or action items.
We want to pull any of these up. I don't think there's anything we need to pull up, just items. And we've got our March meeting minutes. I know Felicia sent you all a corrected item on that, was that contract was for 5 years on the dark fiber. She sent that out to y'all by email. The warrants have been posted. The Frisky contract for this year, I've already signed off on it. Just need your all's approval tonight for it. Our dual credit agreement with Moorhead, and we thank Moorhead for their continued cooperation with our school system. They do a fantastic job for us. There's a UK clinical agreement, and I think that is for student teachers to be able to have the opportunity to come here. This is into next year as well. It's not just something this year. We're a member of KDC, and you have to approve the co-op agreement. It's a $4,200 payment to be a part of that. We signed a 3-year auditor we signed an auditor contract last year with the clause in it that we could renew it up to 3 years. I'm asking you all to renew that contract tonight for year 2. And that is it for the consent items, and there's no changes on those as they were presented to you all. So my recommendation is to approve the consent items.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Thanks. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. So next on the agenda, I know we have public comments. Not sure if we have a way of doing public comments, Mr. Saylor, but I know last time we had questions that we addressed.
Yes, there was what we decided to do is Felicia, of course, we're all here. Some of us are here in separate offices. Felicia's in her office, so she can answer the phone here at the Board of Education. So it would give our public an opportunity. If you do have a question or a comment tonight, we'll give you just a moment. The number here is 723-2181. Done a lot better job on that tonight. Last time I gave you my old house phone number from a long time ago. So this is, don't know what happened there. I think that's called old age. Brian, you'll know that as you keep celebrating birthdays tonight. It is Mr. Kobe's birthday, everyone. So we wish him happy birthday. But 723-2181, and we'll just give people a few minutes. We could go on with the superintendent's report if you want to, and anybody that wants to call in the next few minutes, we can find out if they call, and we can answer those questions. Is that okay with you all?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. So if on the superintendent's report, pretty much the same items. We have the notification of personnel actions from this past month. We also, the attorney, because it's a 5-year contract and the amount of money that's involved with that, the attorney has to review that contract, and Jonathan's I think still on the line with us, and he has reviewed that, and that is attached as well. The Stella grant information is a grant that we've applied for, and the information for it is also included under this item. It's not something you all have to approve. We're just letting you know that we're actually applying for that grant, and we look forward to that grant in terms of hopefully that we're awarded that grant and be able to deal with or in terms of instruction to our students. This came up the other day about honoring our spring sports seniors. And, you know, there's several, I can't even imagine being a senior in high school and not getting to play baseball. And that's my deal. I love baseball, and I've waited all year for baseball and I don't get to play. And, you know, softball, I mean, everybody knows our history in spring sports. We had a very good baseball team that was getting ready to host the 14th regional tournament here at Estill County. We felt like we had a good opportunity. And as it looks right now, based on the governor's phone call on Monday, I believe if we see a postponement of school, then along with that will come a postponement in spring sports. As a member of the KHSAA Board of Control and knowing Commissioner Tackett, he has tried his best to hold out to the very last minute to try to hope is a good thing. That came from the Shawshank Redemption. It is a very good thing, and we did not want to cancel seasons and absolutely pull the rug out from under these kids. So we have tried our very best to keep these seasons alive. We've tried to keep the state basketball tournament alive, but we're running out of time. And I think the call with the governor on Monday will be a big deal with that. So I know Sheila last time as we talked about this had sent me like a picture of a Avenue banner that one school district has done. I just want to let you all know some things that we're doing. WBON is going to be doing a senior spotlight for all of our spring sports seniors, and that includes tennis and track as well. We're in the process of, I think that our senior track members and our senior tennis members had not had photographs made yet. We have had someone volunteer to take pictures of them, and what we're trying to do, we're not bringing them all in at once. We're bringing them in one at a time, getting them out there, getting a picture made so that we can have a senior banner made just like we do in all of our sports. So we're having senior banners made for baseball, softball, tennis, and track. We're going to put those on display here at the central office. There'll be some of them on display in different storefronts. We've got businesses that are closed. It's going to put them on display in town in different places, and we'll do sort of a rotation with that. And we're also trying to put together, when WBON does their spotlight, we're also going to do that on our social media pages as well. So that's a few things we're doing. Sheila, I see you have a comment.
They have banners in town for Christmas and different events throughout the year. Couldn't we do that throughout our town? Hang those from those poles?
It's
have an avenue of champions.
Getting those printed is going to be the issue, I think. So what we were going to do instead of doing them that way was we were going to display them all here at the central office. Okay. And sort of have where they can come out, they can stand beside their banner, take their picture. I know that when I had the Avenue banners made for the Flying E's out here, the Estill County Engineers, the turnaround on those with the company that we dealt with was like 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. And I was afraid that the turnaround on those might take too long. And then you've got the city that right now, I don't know who they've got working. And the last time we tried to get those banners put up here in Irvin, their bucket truck and everything was down, and they've not even been able to put up the engineer banners, Sheila. So we sort of not that we didn't want to do that ideal, but what we decided to do was to get those senior banners made and display them here on the front yard or the front lawn. And that way they'll be here. We even talked about putting them on the courthouse square as well. So we'll take for a period of a couple to 3 weeks and we'll move them around to make sure everybody gets to see them. And we want to make sure that they know that, think about graduation, those kids are taking 2 hits. They not only lost graduation, they lost a senior season in sports that they'll never get to play again. And it's sad. It's just a sad situation. So I wanted to just let you all know that we were trying to do that. And I've already told you we're going to try to honor the entire senior class as well. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on that, but there'll be some things happening over the next few weeks that we'll be spotlighting our seniors here in Estill County with that. And just a budget update on House Bill 352. Just know that our operations for the technology center was in the budget. So construction continues at full speed. We want to thank Senator Albert Robinson and Senator Robert Stivers for their steadfast support of the Area Technology Center. Also wanted to, the governor started the process by putting it within the executive budget, and his staff and Rocky Atkins and Lieutenant Governor Coleman, very supportive of this. This Area Technology Center is very important to this community and very important to the region as a whole. So we're thankful for that. But I did put an attachment in there with the budget bill, just letting you know what happened with the budget bill. The key to that budget is that instead of using the FY20 attendance numbers, which we had already, and Donna can tell you this, and anybody that works in healthcare, we had already had a really difficult year due to flu. I mean, the first week of school, we had our first flu case. We didn't even get 5 days of school in. We had flu that was diagnosed in the county. So that using the attendance from last school year instead of this school year is a huge. Now, we're still going to be judged on the number of students. We're down about 15 or 20 students. So, that's pretty much about by the time you take that, talking about an $80,000 reduction, probably just based on the loss of student enrollment. But overall, the state budget is going to give us the funds that we need to operate. As I told you all earlier, I am really worried about the local tax revenue and what that is going to do moving forward. But Estill County's always stepped up. This community's always stepped up. And I know that people, they're going to pay their taxes if at all humanly possible. That's the kind of people we are. We meet our debts, we meet our obligations, and we've just got a good community overall working together. And I appreciate them very much. So that's just your budget update in there. So that is it for the superintendent's report. And I'm not sure, Felicia, did we have any calls?
No calls.
Okay, thank you. All right, Miss Rhonda.
All right. So last on the agenda, we have anything from the board members. All right, then I guess I will need a motion to adjourn.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Hey guys, and before y'all hang up, let me just say one thing. I want to thank Felicia for her work with this new KSBA online system. It is definitely a change. from what we're used to. And then today we throw a virtual meeting in there on top of it as well. So I know that she has worked really hard to try to configure this to make it meet our needs. And I think over time, it will help not having to go through all that paperwork. And as you all get used to it, I think we'll find out that it's going to be a pretty good system. I appreciate you all for everything you do. And thank you again. And we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia.
Thanks, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you.